Welcome to another edition of Simple Talks. My name is Ryan Booz. We are coming to you live from Past Data Community Summit. I'm here with
Kellyn Gorman.
Kellyn Gorman joined
Kellyn
the team?
Gorman? Wait a second, we have a fourth person here.
That's so cool.
Somebody let her in the room. What happened?
We have a ringer.
Yeah.
And my name is Grant Fritchie.
And I'm Steve Jones.
And yes, the addition this year is we are doing, we have Kellyn this year, this week. Kellyn has joined the team at Redgate, and we are super excited to have you on board.
Thank you.
And I think because you are on board this time around, we decided we're going to talk about Oracle.
We're going to start with Oracle.
I'm going to learn a lot. I'll just say that much.
Yeah.
So will I. I'm looking forward to it.
Okay.
Because Oracle sucks, right? We all agree.
No.
I did
I'm
just
not
hear
gonna- I'm
the
not
gentleman
gonna
who helped
go right
write the
there.
Postgres planner say that the Oracle planner sucks. Anyway, stinks.
Yeah.
Cool.
All right. So how should we approach this, right? We did Postgres versus SQL Server.
We did.
To compare and contrast some things.
Yeah.
And we did a pretty fair compare and contrast, and I think we're going to do the same thing with Oracle. I mean, because I've worked in and around Oracle a whole bunch across my career. I won't tell you that I'm an Oracle DBA; it would be lying, but I do have some experience with it.
I have very little experience. Same, I've been around it forever, and I've had to help try and debug some queries over the years just to, again, just help based on general knowledge, but I think I've actually connected to it myself once ever. So.
All right, so let's start there with query stuff. So Kellyn, what are the strengths in terms of debugging queries and code in Oracle? Like what works well, doesn't work well?
So there's some incredible features when we start talking about Oracle. When we first started out, and I'm going to say when I first started out a very long time ago, back in like the 1990s, we had things called util E-stat, util B-stat, and it's actually the other way around. Begin, B, E, end. And these reports were archaic, impossible to go through and try to tune and figure out what was the performance challenges inside a database. But it started with wait events. That's where we went into StatsPack. Now, a lot of Oracle DBAs absolutely know StatsPack because you can get a report that tells you this is your top 10 performance challenges inside a database. We're very focused on wait events, and this is the area that I guess you'd say the feature. Is it I/O? Is it CPU? Is it transactional weights? It will tell you specifically what the weight is, and then it's going to tell you the SQL statement and the percentage of DB time that you're waiting on. From StatsPack came about in 11G, well actually 10.204 time, we ended up with the automatic workload repository. And the automatic workload repository was written by some incredibly wonderful, brainy guys. I'm friends with a lot of them. I love them to death. And that was the go-to. As much as we might say we can trace a session, we can figure out times, all of this, when you want to look at a database from 10,000 feet and figure out what's going on in it and then start digging in so that we can look at active session history, figure out from the session what is the SQL statement, then go down to our SQL ID and then to our hash value to find out our exact execution and the plan that was used with it to then troubleshoot it and find out exactly where it's taking time at. It makes it very, very easy. We can see those blinds, everything.
Ryan, weights in Postgres.
Right. That's what I was going to say. That was new coming in, and honestly, it was with AWS and RDS. It was unique to me to log in and see that the performance monitor was based off of Oracle Performance Monitor because of the team that's doing it, and it was all based on weights. And that was unique because we didn't have much tooling that really brought weights to the forefront. And so that's where I started to realize, like, oh, there's more to happen here within Postgres. I know the team, the developers are adding it more and more. It's something that we can now do more with, and actually we're trying to figure that out for SQL Monitor, how to do more.
Well,
Redgate
one
Monitor.
thing, when you're starting to talk about like the wait events and percentage of database time, it gives you, the DBA, a very clear indicator, or developer, of where they need to focus, because if you're not tuning for time, you're wasting time.
Oh, I like that.
Interesting way to put it. Well, I mean, funny enough, SQL Server's got weights, and we've had weights for, a long time? All the time? I don't know, I forget.
Not all the time.
I don't remember when it came in, honestly.
DMVs?
Oh, the DMVs. Well, that's 2005. I know when that came in. But
But-
but we had weight
Was
statistics
that
before.
where the weight statistics were before that?
Yeah, we had weight
It's good to
statistics
know.
before that, but they weren't
They're
the
very
best
few,
thing
very
in the
few.
world.
I think 2008 was really, we got a lot of weights.
Yeah.
Because we were transitioning from Profiler to extended events in 2008. So that's where I think we started to see more weights. So for us, it's always been, are we looking for the bottleneck in weights, right? Not necessarily looking at time per se, right?
And yeah, and definitely not, at least at the start, not a correlation to the queries. That came a little later with some additional tooling.
That's right, I guess I would say, is weights for like disk I/O, those kinds of things, that's one thing. But then to actually look at the query from a weight perspective
is a different thing.
was different. And that's what was, oh, this is unique. And I'm not exactly sure how to interpret this based on my experience, right? So it's been interesting to learn.
That's enabled by default in Oracle, right?
It is.
There.
It's always collecting. It's always on. You do have to license it, but pretty much everybody has the diagnostic and tuning pack. They're paying for it these days. Standard edition, and I know I said paying for it. Diagnostic and tuning pack is pretty much a given for most folks. One of the things that's always been interesting to me is I was doing SQL Server as well as Oracle, as I knew the dynamic management views had come about from somebody very intrigued on the SQL Server side with AWR. It stemmed from that. And when you start going into any kind of weight event that is happening on that, if it's a TX, transactional weight, versus you saying, I get into Exadata and single cell physical block reads. Those were my favorite when I was in Azure, because I knew if I saw that, it was a very inefficient use of an Exadata, and I could probably move it to Azure. Those indicators are very important to you, that you know exactly what you're working with.
Cool. Okay, I got one, because I'm going to pick a little bit on Oracle, just
Please.
a little bit, because
Everybody should.
I've got a story about this thing called Diddle Tibble, DDL, TBL. I'm not going to go into it, but the reason Diddle Tibble existed was because of the 30-character limit in Oracle names, which I was told was a feature, not a limitation. Is that still a feature?
Does not exist anymore. It's 1024.
Okay, cool. Yay.
They fixed it. They took your recommendation.
Yes,
They fixed
thank
it.
God.
That's funny.
Yeah, no more Diddle Tibble forever. Yay.
And we, of course, on the Oracle side, are very confused when we see mixed case in names in the SQL Server, because we do all caps. We have to put things in quotes to get it to be mixed.
Oh,
Capitalization.
then that must
all
make you
angry?
insane.
We are all angry.
they're
You're
all-
absolutely
they're all
right.
yelling.
We
So,
are all
wait,
angry.
so
That must make you insane, because, go ahead,
I know,
Postgres.
you're saying that Oracle coalesces to uppercase by default?
Yes.
And Postgres coalesces to lowercase by
Lowercase
default.
by default.
Oh,
yeah.
that's beautiful. I
Yeah,
love it.
You've got to put in double quotes.
We're
in-
all gonna
in
be on our
Postgres
toes.
to get
Yeah.
to get mixed case or uppercase.
SQL Server, just do whatever you do.
Whatever
Yeah.
you
SQL
want.
Server just like, what do
You
you
cowboys, you.
want? What do you
Mr.
Mr.
want?
Cowboy hat, yeah.
All right, so let's go to another area, high availability, right? So I can't remember quite what we did in Postgres, but SQL Server, we've had clustering, we have availability groups, log shipping, where we're moving copies there.
I'm about to anger a number of Oracle DBAs. Keep going.
But
You know
it
it.
has always felt like Oracle has, in general, a better high availability story than the other platforms. What do you think about that, or what is available?
They fooled everybody with marketing, didn't they?
Oh,
Real application clusters is not high availability. It is instance resiliency and scalability. If you bring rack into any cloud environment, you cannot scale those nodes from one data center to another. Most environments, especially any cloud, if you're trying to scale that environment, you need to be able to fail over from one data center to another. Your rack can't scale to that. DataGuard can. So this is why you're going to see in the upcoming years, rack will probably go away.
interesting.
DataGuard will probably go away, and globally distributed databases, sharding will become the norm.
That's fascinating.
Is
Yeah.
that
And
like
every
a-
rack database who's rack DBA that listens to this podcast will be like, oh, Kellyn, you said the bad words out loud. So just know that.
Interesting.
interesting.
Okay with that.
Yeah, that's wild.
Yeah, because I mean, certainly SQL Server has gone to distributed availability groups, which are more complex, and they kind of work they work, right? But they're very hard. Very
Yeah,
hard.
it's still way better than our old clustering stuff.
yeah,
oh
way
my
better.
God.
And
the
Postgres,
horror stories.
what is the HA type stuff for Postgres?
Yeah, HA type stuff it's all based on just replication. And so it's
so just
external
replication.
tooling that helps do the failovers and so forth, right? The Postgres at core helps you with the mechanism to do the failover,
Right.
Yeah.
but all manually. So if you need anything automatic, it's some kind of external project that's helping you do it, like Pertroni or whatever.
Okay.
And
Now,
we
when
also
you
have
say
goal-
external project, do you mean external project or do you mean an extension?
External project.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Right, I just want to
piece of
clarify.
software.
Something that runs external to the system that will
Manages.
help you set up your replicas, will help you do the heartbeat, will help you decide, when you need to fail over, or help you fail over if you're doing it on a planned basis in some way. Yeah.
Now, we also do have Golden Gate, though, and I have built out high availability solutions inside, cloud when we start talking about data center to having a peer-to-peer replicated environment with Golden Gate, where they are synchronizing to each other with transactions coming into both systems. So you have that option as well. There used to be failsafe, which allowed us to do Windows clustering.
Oh, I remember that one.
But it's deprecated. It's completely gone. That group doesn't exist anymore, as far as I know, last time I checked.
Oh, wow.
So there were so many different solutions, and you find that when you have enterprise customers that need unique solutions, they may become a production product, enterprise level product, but are they the right thing? And the one thing that I noticed with Rack is that it was the first choice to scale, which was great. But then they said, is there another use? Well, it's instance resiliency. If one instance goes down, the other can take over. But if you've got this huge workload running on one database or even two, and it fails over and the workload's too large for that one to handle, it fails over and you end up with a domino effect.
Oh,
So
God,
it should never be considered.
That's old SQL Server active.
There you go.
It's
is.
like active, which was nicknamed fail.
Yeah, yeah.
It will create failure. Failover will create failure. It will not actually cause resiliency. So I am not a big proponent of Rack, and most of the deep DBAs, like in our group, when we start talking about OakTableNet, are not big fans of Rack.
Interesting.
Okay.
That's cool.
All right. What else?
So when I talk about the move from Oracle to Postgres, because that is I don't want to say tidal wave, but there is a pretty significant investment happening in creating versions of Postgres to support Oracle workloads to help that transition.
Yeah.
What's driving that? How successful, in your opinion, has it been? Are there people that are better at it, not better at it?
You're going to get me in so much trouble, aren't you?
Oh, I don't care.
It's hundreds of thousands of dollars annually in just licensing. That's what they're looking to save. There's no fight about that. Open source products are great opportunities for greenfield, I feel. The challenge is that PL SQL is so deep and ingrained into these products, and so much coding capabilities that a developer, instead of writing just 3,000 lines of code, can call one package and have it do it for them. Very powerful. They put a lot of time, a lot of effort into it, and the brains behind PL SQL, it's brilliant. But the ability to refactor a database, it's never just a database. It's databases, it's applications, all the processes connected to it. And everything that I saw in every one of the refactoring projects is that they could go on a year, 2 years, 4 years, and the percentage of success was quite low.
Okay.
Where they were more successful was if they lifted and shifted that big Oracle database, because many of them are monsters, and then start slicing and dicing the schemas off, because we put everything in the kitchen sink in there.
Yeah.
And keep that, maybe that big, large, heavy PL SQL environment intact, that one schema, and let it run, less CPU, save money there, and maybe redesign it at some point later on. Okay. Yeah, that's the most successful way, and that goes for AWS, Google, all of them. My old Encatech folks, they're doing migrations to Postgres as much as they can, but very, very low percentage rate, and some of them are lower than 1%.
Yeah, there's a couple databases, EDB, Cybertech has one, there's an open source project called...
And they're deep Oracle experts at EDB.
And they are.
Yeah.
And so that's why a lot of that happened. Does that help at all? Like, it's
yeah.
one thing to lift and shift and just simply you do have to refactor, redo, but to lift and shift into something that theoretically is giving you that, that deep compatibility.
Well,
I
they're
just
trying.
don't know. I've never actually run into the large client that's done it and done it successfully and just hear what it is.
I used to joke about getting like 300 failed PostgreSQL migration projects. So it got to the point where I would be in a call with a customer and somebody would come on from the sales team and go, and I'm, of course, making this statement, have you heard about our Lord God and Savior, PostgreSQL, and I'd have to take them back a little bit and go, you have no idea how much PL/SQL is that I can see in this AWR report. You don't want to go there right now. Right. Let's figure out what we're facing first, and then let me identify what schemas that you can bring over. But there's opportunity here. I got you. I got you.
Well, I mean, back in the day, I mean, this is going back a little ways. I'm old, but we were moving a lot of people off of Oracle onto SQL Server.
Yeah.
Again, licensing costs, funny enough.
Yeah.
But it there was no such thing as lift and shift. I mean, it was always a complete rewrite. There was never any way. The only thing we ever had was the data moves. There were tools that could help us move the data.
Right.
But redesigning the database was redesigning the database and rebuilding the app, and oh my God, it was not simple. I mean, data has gravity. For those who don't know, data has mass. It's a thing.
It really is. And for those customers that are trying to take this on, you know, it's not that it will never happen. It's not that it can't happen. There are some that are successful at it, but it takes a lot of effort, a lot of dedication, and you should be prepared that you might have one schema that just can never go, not unless you want to start over from scratch. So I saw that with customers day in and day out, and again, PostgreSQL, I think it's awesome for greenfield. Start designing right now on it. For sure. And when you start to go on a refactoring challenge, the other thing is that this code might have been written for 20 years optimized on one database platform, and you try to bring it over to a new one, and you may have some really painful performance issues.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm curious as what, you know, you've worked on so many platforms. When we are talking about Oracle, what are some of your, you know, I hate to always give a number, top 2 or 3 favorite things about Oracle that you wish SQL Server or Postgres or someone had?
Automatic workload repository. That I can run one report on any database and know inside and out the health of that database, you know, everything about the resource usage on it, that I can know the top 10 SQL, that I can know what procedures are causing grief on it, you know, size it out for going to the cloud. All of that is involved in there. And these reports are 10 to 30 pages. Not a lot of people can read them. You know, I can still say that my blog posts that are downloaded off my website, my blog site, are always the AWR Ash. That's what people want to know. So that's still the top stuff that folks want. Absolutely want that. The next thing is PGA is pretty cool. The process global area that it's doing all the sorts and the hashing, I find that it does it more effective than some of the stuff that's going on in the temp database in SQL Server.
Well, I mean, TempDB, come on.
Yeah. So it's challenging there. I like that. And how SQL Server uses temp tables versus how Oracle uses temp tables, we don't. We build everything into arrays, which I love. So those are probably my top areas that I love.
Very cool. I like arrays in the database too.
Yeah.
So what are the 2 or 3 things that
Or one
That
or
I
two,
hate
or
about
one,
Oracle.
or one. You don't
Or
have to go,
one.
You don't have to go
Yeah,
into
just one.
detail.
Pick a
We are not trying to set her up.
Yeah. No, they can't. It's
It's
all
a
right.
learning opportunity. That's all this is.
So Oracle went multi-tenant back in 12c. It was a really hard sell, I think, for a lot of folks that are very set in their way. They know Oracle, they know how it runs best, and we're risk averse. I mean, these are big, monstrous enterprise databases, and they didn't want to embrace it. But I think a lot of the hope that went behind that is that each of those schemas would go into a pluggable database or a user database when we go on the SQL Server side. It didn't happen. Everybody just took everything in the instance, went bam, and threw it in the PDB. I think a lot of ways it's been a really uncomfortable undertaking, and it is only now in 23 AI that it is the default architecture for Oracle. So I don't think it was released as efficiently as it could have, educated as efficiently as it could have to the population. And then the other thing is 19C, I think, is the buggiest version of Oracle since 6. Yeah, we could have done a little better on that one, guys. Really could. Users should not be testers. Users should not be the testers. There we go. That's what I hate.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, that's great.
Very interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that was a great one.
It's been a good week so far at Past Data Summit. Lots of people, lots of things. It's good to be hearing how people are working out, and yeah, it's just exciting to be in community again.
Oh God, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is huge. Been a great week.
Thank you guys for welcoming me here.
Oh,
Yeah.
Oh
Pleasure.
my
So
God!
happy
Thank you
you're
for
here.
Glad
joining the
you're here.
team. You were so excited by it.
All right. Well, thank you for joining us for another Simple Talk, and we look forward to talking with you again very soon. Cheers.
Cheers.
Bye.